3 months after what became known as the First Contact Crisis, Admiral Do-hyun stood in the newly constructed Galactic Embassy in Seoul. The sleek building represented something unprecedented, Earth as an independent power negotiating with the former council members as equals, not conquests. Ambassador Torg, now representing only the Velrekian Imperium rather than the dissolved Galactic War Council, approached with a formal bow, a human gesture that would have been unthinkable before. "Admiral, the treaty ratifications are complete," Torg said. "All former council species have recognized Earth's sovereignty and territorial claims." Do-hyun nodded. "And the reparations for the aggression?" "Being processed as agreed. The technology exchanges will begin next month." Nearby, Dr. Yuna and Engineer Min were deep in conversation with scientists from 3 different alien species, already collaborating on projects that would benefit both human and non-human worlds. General Subin entered with Captain Jin Ho, both now decorated as heroes of the defense. "The last of the observation posts have been dismantled from our system's edge," Subin reported. "And our monitors confirmed the withdrawal is complete." Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. Not exactly how First Contact was supposed to go. Jin Ho shrugged. They came expecting to find primitives who would beg for mercy. Instead, they found equals who demanded respect. In the atrium below, human and alien diplomats mingled, negotiating trade agreements and cultural exchanges. Earth's rapid acceptance into the galactic community had surprised everyone, including humans themselves. Agent Han, his cover identity, no longer necessary, joined them on the balcony. The former council species are still reeling from the revelations. Some are facing internal revolutions, others are forming new alliances. The balance of power has shifted completely. "And humanity's position?" Do-hyun asked. "Surprisingly strong," Han replied. "Our willingness to negotiate rather than press. Our advantage has earned respect. They expected vengeance but received diplomacy instead." Do-hyun looked out at the gathering below, where Earth's future was being shaped through words rather than weapons. They needed to understand something fundamental about humanity. "What's that?" asked Yuna, joining them. "That we never wanted, to rule or conquer. We just refused to be ruled or conquered." Do-hyun gazed at the stars becoming visible in the evening sky. "The council thought humans would beg for mercy because that's what they would have done. They projected their own fears onto us." "And now?" Jin Ho asked. "Now they understand that humanity doesn't want mercy or submission from others, just mutual respect." Do-hyun smiled fully now. "And if necessary, we'll fight to earn it." In the years that followed, humanity would expand to the stars not as conquerors or subjects, but as partners in a new galactic community, one built on the understanding that had emerged from that first, nearly catastrophic encounter. The universe was large enough for different species to thrive together, but only if each recognized the fundamental dignity of the others. The Galactic War Council had thought humans would beg for mercy. Instead, humans taught them about respect. The big metal room was quiet. Only the soft beeps of computers broke the silence. Admiral Daeho stood tall, his green scaly skin dull and dry. He was tired. They were all tired. For 30 years the war had raged across the stars. 30 years of fighting. 30 years of losing. The enemy was called the Voidborn. They were not like other life forms. They were made of something like crystal, and they ate energy from stars. Their black ships moved through space like hungry sharks. They took over 17 star systems already. Wherever they went, they left dead planets behind. Daeho looked at the big screen in front of him. It showed their latest defeat. Proxima Centauri was gone. All those ships, all those lives, lost. "We lost another one," he said softly, his voice a low hiss. 15,000 ships, gone just like that. Commander Jia moved next to him. She was bird-like, with bright feathers on her head that now drooped with sadness. Her hand, with 3 long claws, rested on his shoulder. "Sir," she said, "we have one choice left." Daeho's 4 eyes blinked slowly. He knew what she meant. They had talked about this before, but he had always said no. It was too risky, too unknown. The humans, he said. Yes, the humans. The room grew even quieter. The other leaders of the Galactic Council shifted in their seats. Some looked afraid. Others looked angry. For hundreds of years, the Council had stayed away from Earth. They watched the humans from far away, but never made contact. Humans were called a Class 9 species. This meant they were not very strong physically. Their technology was simple. They had barely reached their own moon. But there was something else about humans that made the Council nervous. Something in how they thought. Something in how they fought. "They are not ready," said General Hyun. He was made of living crystal and his body flashed with light when he spoke. "They still fight each other over land and resources. They have not even built homes on their moon yet." "They don't need to be ready," Gia replied. She touched a button and new images filled the screen. "They just need to be human." The screen now showed Earth's history. Wars, battles, strategies, victories against impossible odds. It showed human minds at work, solving problems in ways the Council species never considered. The aliens watched in silence. They saw humans fighting with sticks and stones. They saw humans fighting with metal and fire. They saw humans fighting with atoms and code. But most importantly, they saw humans winning when they should have lost. "Look at this," Gia said, pointing to one image. A small human force defeated one 3 times its size by using the land to their advantage. She switched to another. Here they won by attacking when their enemy thought it impossible, during a storm. Another image. And here they used simple tricks to make their enemy think they had more soldiers than they really did. Admiral Daeho watched his fellow council members. He saw their expressions change from doubt to interest. From interest to hope. He had studied humans for years. He knew what made them different. Where council species sought order and logic, humans embraced chaos and intuition. Where council warfare was about direct power, human warfare was about finding weakness and exploiting it. The Voidborn were winning because they were predictable. They followed patterns. The Council also followed patterns. Both sides played the same game, but the Voidborn were simply better at it. Humans played different games. "What exactly are you suggesting, Commander?" asked the Merithian ambassador. Her body was like fog in a vaguely humanoid shape. "I suggest we make contact," Gia said. "We ask for their help." "As allies?" The ambassador's voice was shocked. "They would demand technology, resources. Then we give it to them," Daeho said firmly. All eyes turned to him. "Whatever they want." "They could be dangerous," General Hyun warned. "If we give them advanced technology." "We're already losing everything," Daeho replied. "The Voidborn have taken 17 systems. Trillions are dead. If we continue as we are, we will all be gone within 5 years." He walked to the center of the room. His tail dragged on the floor, another sign of his exhaustion. "I have reviewed the human files myself," he said. "Yes, they fight each other. Yes, they can be violent, but they also build. They create. They have concepts like mercy and peace talks that the Voidborn cannot understand." Daeho touched a control, and the screen changed again. Now it showed Earth, blue oceans, green and brown land, white clouds, home to billions of humans who had no idea they were being watched. "Most importantly," he continued, "humans understand something none of our species truly do. They understand being the underdog. They understand fighting against greater powers and winning." The council chamber fell silent again. Each member was thinking, calculating, considering. "The Voidborn are stronger than us," Daeho said. "Their ships are better, their weapons are better. But that's not why they're winning. They're winning because we fight like them. We think like them." He pointed to Earth on the screen. "Humans don't. Humans think in ways the Voidborn cannot predict because we cannot predict them either. That is their value to us." Commander Gia stepped forward. "We don't need their ships or their technology. We need their minds, their ideas, their Creativity. The council members looked at each other. Some nodded slowly. Others still seemed unsure. We have tried everything else, Deho said quietly. We have lost so much. What do we have to lose by trying this? General Hyun's crystal body dimmed slightly. And if they refuse to help? They won't, Jia said with confidence. I've studied their entertainment, their stories. Humans dream of the stars. They imagine meeting aliens. And more than anything, they dream of being heroes. Deho looked at each council member in turn. We offer them the stars. We offer them friendship. We offer them the chance to save not just their world, but hundreds of worlds. The vote was quick. The decision was made. Prepare a first contact team, Deho ordered. Choose individuals who look least threatening. Brief them on human customs and languages. As the council members left to prepare, Jia stayed behind with Deho. They looked at the image of Earth together. Do you really think they can help us? She asked quietly. Deho's 4 eyes blinked one after another. I think they're going to change everything. On Earth, humans went about their lives. They worked. They played. They loved. They fought. They had no idea that far away a group of aliens had just decided to ask for their help. They had no idea that soon, the fate of the galaxy would rest in human hands. They had no idea that when humans joined the war, it would end in hours. Dr. Song-min looked at the budget papers on her desk and sighed. Being the head of NASA for only 3 months was hard. There was never enough money for all the space projects they wanted to do. She reached for her coffee mug. It was a normal Tuesday morning until it wasn't. The air in her office began to shimmer. Song-min thought something was wrong with her eyes. She blinked hard and rubbed them. When she looked again, there were 5 strange beings standing in her office. One had green, scaly skin like a lizard, but stood on 2 legs. One looked like a bird with bright feathers on its head. One seemed to be made of crystal that glowed from within. One was like smoke shaped into a person. The last one was tall and blue with 4 arms. Song-min's coffee mug froze halfway to her mouth. She slowly put it down. Any normal person would have screamed, or run away, or fainted. But Song-min had spent her life thinking about meeting aliens. She had imagined this moment many times, so instead of panicking, she took a deep breath and said, I'm guessing you're not from the money committee. The scaly alien, who she would later learn was Admiral Deho, touched a small device on his chest. When he spoke, his mouth moved strangely, but perfect English came out. Dr. Song-min, we are representatives of the Galactic Council. We have been watching Earth for many years. We come to ask for your help. Within hours, the President of the United States was meeting with the aliens in a secret room. Within a day, leaders from around the world were brought in. Everyone agreed this had to be handled carefully. People might panic if they suddenly learned aliens were real. Colonel Jin Woo was called in on the 2nd day. He was not told why, only that his country needed him. As the head of South Korea's special forces, he was used to secrets. But nothing prepared him for walking into a room full of aliens. Jin Woo sat at a long table with other military leaders from around the world. Admiral Dae-ho and Commander Jia stood at the front of the room. A large screen behind them showed star maps. We have been at war for 30 years, Dae-ho explained. The enemy is called the Voidborn. They eat energy from stars and leave dead worlds behind. They have taken over many star systems. Billions of lives have been lost. Jin Woo listened carefully as Dae-ho described the Voidborn's black ships, how they absorbed energy weapons and grew stronger, how they moved in perfect patterns that never changed, how 17 advanced alien civilizations had already fallen. So you've come here for help, Jin Woo said when Dae-ho finished. But why Earth? We must be one of the least advanced planets you know of. We've barely left our own planet. Dae-ho's 4 eyes blinked one after another. Because you're human. Jin Woo frowned. That's not an answer. Commander Jia stepped forward. Her bird-like features made her look fierce, but her voice was gentle. Your species thinks about fighting in ways we don't understand, she said. You have ideas like surprise attacks and fighting dirty and mind games that our people never created. When you are weak, you find ways to be strong. You've been fighting each other in creative ways for thousands of years. Jinwoo looked around at the other human military leaders. Some nodded. Others looked just as confused as he felt. Let me understand this, he said slowly. You have spaceships that can travel between stars. You have weapons we can't even imagine. But you're losing this war, and you think we can help? Yes, said Daeho. Why? Because you're unpredictable, Jia said. The Voidborn always know what we will do because we think like them. Our tactics are logical, direct, but humans. She touched a button, and the screen changed to show Earth's military history. The screen showed ancient battles. Roman soldiers making a turtle shape with their shields. Mongolian horse archers shooting behind them while riding away. American soldiers hiding behind trees to fight British soldiers who stood in straight lines. You trick your enemies, Jia continued. You hide. You attack from where they don't expect. You use the land to help you fight. You make your enemies think you are stronger or weaker than you really are. Jinwoo began to understand. You don't want our weapons or our technology. No, said Daeho. We want your minds, your ideas, your creativity, Jinwoo finished. You want us to think for you? Yes, said Daeho. We need humans to help us plan our battles, to show us how to fight in ways the Voidborn won't expect. The meeting went on for hours. The aliens explained that Earth would be safe. The Voidborn didn't know about humans yet. Humans would not have to fight in space. They would only be advisors helping the aliens use their ships and weapons in new ways. All we need, said Jia, is for you to tell us how to use them. And what do we get in return? Asked an American general. Daeho spread his scaled hands wide. Everything. Knowledge, technology, medicine that can cure your worst diseases, clean energy, help fixing your planet's climate, friends among the stars. This started a long discussion. Some human leaders were excited about alien technology. Others were worried the aliens might be lying. Some wanted to tell everyone on Earth, right away. Others thought it would cause too much fear. Jinwoo stayed quiet, thinking. He studied Daeho and Jia, looking for signs they weren't telling the whole truth, but he saw only exhaustion and hope in their alien faces. Later that night, the leaders of Earth made their decision. They would help. A team was quickly put together. The best military minds from around the world, experts in history and strategy, people who thought in unusual ways. Jinwoo was put in charge. Why me? He asked the president of South Korea. Because the aliens asked for you by name, was the answer. They've been watching us for a long time, Colonel. They say you won the war games last year by doing something no one expected. Jinwoo remembered. He had sent a small force to attack the enemy base directly while making them think his main force was somewhere else. It was a simple trick, really. 3 days after the aliens arrived, Jinwoo and his team were ready to leave Earth. They would go to the Galactic Council's main, based near a star called Aldebaran. Before they left, Jinwoo visited his parents one last time. He couldn't tell them where he was going or why, only that he had an important job and would be back when it was done. His mother hugged him tightly. Be careful, she said, and make us proud. Jinwoo smiled. I will, he promised. As he walked away from his childhood home, Jinwoo looked up at the night sky. The stars seemed different now that he knew what was out there. There was war among those distant lights, worlds dying, people suffering, and soon he would be there too, a human among aliens, trying to save the galaxy. He took a deep breath of Earth's air. Then he turned and walked toward his waiting car. It was time to see if humans really were as special as the aliens thought. The first engagement under human direction wasn't even supposed to be a battle. A small council fleet approached the Voidborn lines near Tau Ceti. Their weapons systems were powered down. Their engines leaked radiation. They appeared damaged, vulnerable. Bait. The Voidborn took it. As the crystalline ships moved to consume the seemingly crippled vessels, they triggered proximity mines disguised as debris. Council ships that had been playing dead suddenly powered up, using modified engines that emitted no radiation signature. And behind Tau Ceti's fourth planet waited the real surprise. 300 ancient freighters filled with something the humans called concrete, a primitive mixture of stone and binding agents. No energy signature, no technology to consume. Just dumb mass accelerated to near relativistic speeds. The Voidborn, evolved to detect and absorb energy, never saw them coming. When the concrete projectiles hit, they didn't damage the Voidborn ships, they coated them. Layer upon layer of rapidly hardening stone encased the crystalline vessels, blocking their ability to absorb stellar radiation. Now, ordered Jinwu. The Council fleet, using communication protocols that changed every 30 seconds, coordinated with perfect precision. They didn't fire at the enemy. They fired at Tau Ceti itself, using gravitic lenses to focus and amplify solar flares directly at the concrete-encased Voidborn. The enemy, starved of controlled energy and suddenly bombarded with raw stellar power, couldn't process it fast enough. Their crystalline structures began to fracture. "Stage 2, said Hana. From the gas giant's rings emerged thousands of small, unmanned vessels. Each carried a payload of simple water, billions of gallons flash-frozen into projectiles. They struck the overheating Voidborn ships, creating catastrophic thermal stress. In 4 hours, the battle was over. The Voidborn fleet, a third of their total forces, was destroyed. Not a single Council ship was lost. News of the victory spread through the galaxy. Species that had surrendered to the Voidborn began to resist again. Council morale soared. But Jinwu and his team weren't celebrating. They were planning. The Voidborn will adapt, he warned. We need to end this now before they counter our tactics. Micha pointed at the star map. We know where their central coordination node is, here, in the Horsehead Nebula, but it's guarded by their entire remaining fleet. Then we don't attack. It directly, said Hana. We make them move. Operation Fallen Sun was implemented within days. Simultaneously across 27 star systems, human-directed Council forces began attacking not the Voidborn ships, but the stars themselves. Using technology repurposed from excavation platforms, they launched stellar lances, devices designed to create controlled solar eruptions that could be harvested for energy. But the humans had modified them to create uncontrolled eruptions instead. The message to the Voidborn was clear. We will destroy your food source if you don't stop us. The enemy responded exactly as predicted. They consolidated their forces, crushing to protect the endangered stars. Their formation was perfect, their coordination flawless, and that's when Jinwu sprung the final trap. While the Voidborn fleet was occupied, a single unmarked transport slipped through the nebulas, dust clouds. It carried no weapons, no advanced technology that could be detected. Its hull was made of simple carbon composites. Inside were 93 humans, each carrying a backpack full of electronic components so simple they barely registered as technology. They boarded the unprotected coordination node through maintenance, channels moving quickly through corridors designed for beings 3 times their size. The Voidborn, never having faced physical infiltration, had no internal defenses. At the central core, the humans didn't attempt to understand the alien technology. They didn't need to. They simply placed their devices, jury-rigged signal jammers, and electromagnetic pulse generators, at key structural points. Then they triggered them and ran. The coordination node didn't explode. It didn't shatter. It simply stopped. The immensely complex quantum network that controlled the entire Voidborn collective collapsed into discord. Across the galaxy, Voidborn ships suddenly lost cohesion. Some drifted aimlessly. Others turned on each other, no longer able to distinguish friend from foe. By the time Admiral Daeho's flagship arrived at the node, the humans were already heading home, their mission complete. It's over? He asked in disbelief, staring at the tactical display, showing Voidborn forces in disarray. Jinwu nodded. The war is over. They're not defeated, not completely, but they're no longer a collective. They're individuals now. They can be negotiated with. Daeho's compound eyes blinked rapidly. You've achieved in 8 days what we couldn't in 30 years. Not me, Jinwu corrected. Humanity. You asked for our help because we think differently, because we've spent our history finding ways to overcome stronger opponents. As the Council fleet secured the former Voidborn territories, reports came in from across the galaxy. Celebrations, memorials, reconstruction, and everywhere the same question: what will the humans do next? For now they went home, back to their single planet, back to their internal conflicts and everyday struggles. But they went with the knowledge that they were not alone, and that the stars were now within their reach. The Council formally classified humans as a Class 1 species, potential galactic leadership. They established an embassy on Earth. They offered technology, resources, knowledge, and they made a silent vow never to make an enemy of humanity. Because when humans joined the war, it ended in hours,